Honour the wisdom of those who went before you, and bind it ever to your heart, and tie it around your neck. And when you walk, it will lead you. When you lie down, it will watch over you. And when you wake, it will talk to you. Today, we gather to say goodbye to my friend Rose Peters, a woman who welcomed me into her home in 321 many years ago, and we became very dear friends. She was a home from home whenever I visited Joburg, and Russell often wondered how we got on so well together, and perhaps our bond as teachers was something strong for both of us. Whatever it was, we had many deep conversations about faith, about school, the state of South Africa, the frustration of load shedding, and the night she said to me, "They'll come next and take our torches." So sitting here in Dublin this morning, I have many cherished memories of Rose. She was a woman of substance, a woman of faith, a woman of self-belief, a strong-minded woman, a woman of integrity, and those who were lucky enough to know her were blessed with her wisdom that guided us, her courage that lifted us, her generosity that filled us, and her love that formed us. We're here to celebrate your life and the measure of its worth, and every single life you touched while you were on this earth. We wish to pay our respects, and that is why we are here. Rose, I thank you for your friendship and all the memories I hold dear. It has been my privilege to have known you. We were family, not just friends. And I will carry you forever in my heart until we meet once again. The reflection, The Dash, written by Linda Ellis, comes to mind as I think about you, because you did a lot of living before and between that dash. And the dash says, it represents all the time that Rose spent alive on earth, and now all those who loved you know what that little line is worth. For it matters not so much how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is what we lived and loved, and how we spent your dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be arranged. If you could just slow down to consider what is true and real, and always try to understand the way other people feel, and be less quick to anger, and show appreciation more, and love the people in your lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a mask, remembering that the special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read, and when your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash? Each of the family members have special moments, incidents and humour that you will recall today. And thank you for sending these and sharing with me. We remember Rose's little first aid car carrying 4 of us to the World Cup in 2010, and the slagging we got as we drove through the crowd in this tiny vehicle. We remember Rose and her first aid courses across South Africa and Eswatini. Rose giving out to Basil about smoking in the kitchen. The privilege as a son of receiving from her as the Minister of Eucharist. The games of Mahjong, the jigsaw puzzles on the table, the word game puzzles and the hidden object computer games. Her insisting on finishing the miniature alcohol bottles when moving her to Hebron from 321, and then on insisting on sharing whatever cocktail concoction she had made with it. Buttering rolls in O'Connor's Hall with the lines, and the countless other school fetes and PTA functions. I remember the day she took me to a Chinese restaurant in Joburg, only to find that the place was closed and was now a general store. So we laughed and went for a cappuccino instead. We remember driving in the high ace and how one would really stop a car, not to mention, of course, standing behind the car. The Irish roses and the gift I shared with her on my return visits from Ireland. The evening I said Mass in her house with family and friends. Sitting in the living room with Basil with a basket of nuts for shelling. And of course, telling her the story of the famous World Cup flag in 2010. Some of the thoughts from the family give greater insight into this woman we call Rose Peters. How she knew from Beppy's screams that there was a snake about, and how she rescued her from poisonous wrinkles in the very long corridors of 321, even though she herself didn't like snakes. Being Mrs. Peters' daughter at school was difficult. She had a reputation for being very firm with her students and wasn't afraid to tell them exactly what she thought of them. Things you'd never get away with today. I had to be on my best behaviour, do my homework, mix with the right people and excel so that she could be proud of me. And I had to be an example of good parenting and teaching. I don't think I realised how difficult it must have been for her when I left home to travel. You're the one having all the adventures and meeting new people, and parents are left at home wondering exactly what kind of adventures you're having and how many people you're meeting. I think her worries were all for nothing when Simon came to Africa with me. He settled in well, got on with my mother and with Dad. And I remember sundowners after working in the garden, spring onion dip and Melba toast with shandies. Funny how she got drink into her in her later life. How proud and excited she was when she first met Éireann at the airport. She was the only one wearing a mask at the airport. What a trendsetter she turned out to be. Éireann falling asleep on her shoulder in the early days when she visited after Éireann's birth. The smile on both her faces was wonderful. Her little Miss Muffet. And when Éireann had just learned to walk, watching her run on the grass underneath the willow tree at 321, which she thought was so funny because Éireann hadn't really felt grass before. And when Éireann started school, she came over to us for a month to help with the school drop-offs, and they enjoyed their time together while Simon and I were working. Mother loved her iPad, and she taught Éireann the joy of online puzzles and hidden item games. They were instantly challenging each other in some kind of game that they both enjoyed. And to be fair to Mother, she was way ahead because she allowed a lot more screen time. She loved the bush. And Simon said how he always remembers her saying she was born to be in the back of an open Land Rover. We were with her when she saw her first leopard a few years ago. And on the same trip, we saw a magnificent sight of a leopard in a tree pulling up the impala, and then the leopard fighting off the wild dogs underneath the tree that were waiting for the scraps. She said that Éireann was her lucky charm, and she had not seen a leopard before on one trip, and now she had seen two. Having a mother as a teacher had its blessings, but it also had its downsides. I recall my last year at school, we went to go to a nightclub, Plum Crazy. And Dad had said yes, but as always, you had to ask your mother. Well, it was a question of who is going, which boys are going, and we even had called our cousins Angus to check what it was like. Finally, she gave in and said I could go. And when I got on the bus the next morning and told the girls it was fabulous, because Mrs. Peters said it, it meant that the others would also be allowed to go too. Mom's strength as a teacher was in accounting and business economics, which is where I got a distinction. The only one in my year, and she was quite proud of that achievement. But sadly, we had fights trying to do maths homework, and they were never ending. Tears and stamping my feet, going around saying, "I don't understand." And it saw me do lower grade maths, which was in hindsight to save the family sanity. Moving from the suburbs to the sticks, as we called it, was an adventure, we thought. But stopping randomly to pick grass so we could lay them in 3-2-1 and starting a garden from scratch was where I think I got my appreciation for gardening. Mom was one of a kind, and we loved her dearly. But when we needed help at home economics, whether it was with sewing or cooking, we sadly couldn't turn to her.